Hello, I'm Dr. Vanita Rattan and this channel is dedicated to skin of colour. So today's video is all about dandruff versus seborrheic dermatitis. What's the difference? What causes it? How do you treat it? What's the best routine for your scalp? And throughout it, I'll be talking about clinical studies too. Okay, so dandruff is when you have oily flakes on the scalp. You have a lot of itching, but it's confined just to the scalp. It's not on any other parts of the body. The flakes look small and grey in colour. So seborrheic dermatitis is when you have mounds on the scalp. So these are yellow, oily mounds on the scalp. You can also find redness or erythema on the scalp too, and it tends to spread. So you can have it, for example, on the ears, the eyebrows, the nasolabial folds over here, and you can also find it on the chest. So it's often considered that dandruff is on one side of the severity scale and seborrheic dermatitis is on the other side of the same condition. Now, it's also considered that the condition of the scalp and the health of the scalp will determine the health of your hair. So when you have an unhealthy scalp and you've got seborrheic dermatitis or dandruff, it can lead to thin, brittle hair. So who gets it? This is such a common condition. A huge study was done on 1,400 multi-ethnic adults, and it was seen that 60 to 90% of the population had dandruff. So why does it happen? So it's thought that the epidermis is in a hyperproliferative state, which basically means that you are having very fast turnover and immature cells coming to the surface that are not ready to be shed. Now, with this scalp, patches are actually constantly changing on the actual scalp, so where it is. But essentially, it's actually the whole scalp that's been affected. In addition, it's been thought that there's a particular yeast called Malassezia which colonizes the scalp as well. So what are your treatment options? Well, first of all, you want to start off with an antifungal against the Malassezia. The three options that we talk about when it comes to treatment of an antifungal against Malassezia is ketoconazole, pyrithione zinc, and selenium disulfide. I would also recommend an exfoliating agent. My favorite is obviously going to be salicylic acid. We also want to try and reduce this hyperproliferation. So we want an antimitotic. So things like steroid creams, for example, or coal tar. Tacrolimus is another potent antifungal and an anti-inflammatory without the side effects of steroids. So a lot of people opt for that option. Now, don't forget, this is a refractory condition, meaning the second that you stop your antifungal treatments, it's going to come back again, which means it's best to start off with something very simple and easy to use, which is why we always recommend starting off with shampoo, an antifungal shampoo. So what are your options? What are the ingredients and the percentages that you require? Let's start off with pyrithione zinc. Now, if you're going to have it in a shampoo, you're looking at 0.2% up to 2% in a shampoo. If you're looking for a leave-in product, then I would say go for a 0.1% to a 0.2, 0.25%. With selenium sulfide, I'd say go for 0.6% up to 1%. With ketoconazole shampoo, I would say go up to 2%. So for example, Nizoral, which you can find in the UK and actually in a lot of other countries, is 2% ketoconazole. The mistake people make actually is that they pop it on their scalp and then they wash it off straight away, but actually you really want to leave it on for 5 to 10 minutes. So I myself get dandruff, and what I do is I pop it on my scalp and with water, and before about even 10, 15, 20 minutes before I actually have a shower. So I know it's working into my scalp and it's had that time. That is my mainstay of treatment. The next ingredient is coal tar. So coal tar, you're looking at about 0.5 to 5%. So something, for example, like Neutrogena T-Gel is very popular. And what it does is basically reduces proliferation of the cells. The other ingredient that I love that I've already discussed with you is salicylic acid. So we're looking at about 1.8 to 3% of salicylic acid. Now, because there are a number of different ingredients and it can be quite confusing, I do recommend you go for a combination of 2 different ingredients, specifically with salicylic acid, because what salicylic acid is basically doing is softening the cells and allowing better penetration of any actives. So the 2 that I would recommend is, one is Dead Sea Spa Magic Mineral Shampoo. That's got zinc pyrithione with the salicylic acid. And the second product I would recommend is Vegan Pure Dr. Dandruff. So that's got 1% ketoconazole with the salicylic acid. Nizoral is great, it's 2% ketoconazole, but has no salicylic acid in it. So I think it's best to see which suits you. For me, Nizoral works very well. If I had more severe dandruff, then I'd probably opt for something with salicylic acid in it. Now, the thing you need to know is that this is a relapsing condition, which means that it's going to affect your hair quality as soon as you stop. So it's important that you continue. If you want me to do a whole video on quality of hair and how to improve it, please can you write yes in the section below for me. The other thing to note is if you have seborrheic dermatitis, often you have eczema at the same time. So it's worth you going over and watching my eczema tips video and eczema routine video. If there's any other conditions you want me to cover, please can you write it down below, and don't forget to download your free guide for skincare for skin of color. Thank you very much.